Now we start with updates from the Russia-Ukraine conflict, where President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that there is no signal from Moscow that Russia is ready to end the war or engage in substantial conversations. He warned that if Russia is not ready for a bilateral leaders meeting, Ukraine and Europe expect a strong response from the United States. Zelensky also condemned Russia's attack on American enterprise in Zaporizhzhia region, which injured 15 people. Ukraine's Air Force reported that Russia launched 574 drones and 40 missiles in overnight strikes, shooting down 546 drones and 31 missiles. Attacks hit 11 locations, with debris falling on 3 areas, according to reports. A missile also struck a consumer electronic plant in Muchachevko, injuring 15, while an attack in Lviv killed 1, injured 3 and damaged 26 homes. Foreign Minister Audrey Sabia called the strikes against civilian facilities unacceptable and stressed the need to pressure Russia to end the war. We're now joined by 2 guests to discuss this. We're joined by Professor Veselin Popovsky, who's a professor and vice dean at Jindal Global Law School, located in Bulgaria. And we're also joined by Professor Georgi Toleraya. He's an international affairs expert, joining us from Moscow. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here on NewsX World. Professor Popovsky, I wanted to start with you. Ukrainian President Zelensky says there are no signals from Moscow ending the war. From Kiev's perspective, what would constitute a credible sign that Russia is, in fact, serious about peace?
Well, the only signal is to stop the fire, nothing else. Russia continues to shoot, to fight. They sent 614, one of the most massive aerial attacks in recent weeks, as a response to a lot of diplomacy going on. So simple answer here. Russia is not interested in peace. It's not even interested in ceasefire. So all the talks in Alaska between Trump and Putin are gone into the dustbin. Russia doesn't follow on anything. They even refuse trilateral or bilateral meeting with Zelensky, talking about before the meeting, we need to agree on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means it's simply a delaying tactics, clearly showing that Vladimir Putin doesn't want to stop the war. He wants to continue killing Ukrainian people non-stop. And I must say, there is no life for Putin outside this war. There is no peace for Russia. Putin cannot tell the troops to go back home because these millions of soldiers, they have no other life without killing. They will go and they will do crimes all over Russia, like exactly what the Afghani troops during the Soviet times did after the end of the Soviet aggression in Afghanistan. For Vladimir Putin, there is no end of the war because it's end of his regime, by the way.
Yes, I wanted to bring Professor Toleraya in here. As we've said, Russia has launched a huge barrage of aerial attacks on Ukrainian soil. In response, President Zelensky says Moscow is not serious about peace, although a bilateral meeting between the 2 presidents has not been ruled out this time. It has been refused previously. Professor Toleraya, how does Russia respond to the accusation that Moscow is not ready to talk?
Well, first of all, I don't even want to comment the cheap propaganda I heard from my predecessor on this channel, because given the possibility to spread such cheap propaganda, I think it's a bad journalism. What is true is that if we talk about the security guarantees for Ukraine, we must find a solution, we must talk. And this is what Russia is prepared to do. And this is something that we're talking with Americans. Zelensky cannot get any signals because he's not a party of these negotiations. The negotiations on the security guarantees, which is essential for the final peace deal, had been already discussed in Istanbul 3 years ago, but then the British prevented Ukraine from accepting them. And so the war continued for 3.5 years, killing millions of people. This is entirely the guilt of British and Americans and Europeans who supported this war and who are giving support to Ukraine. Russia wants to have a just and lasting peace, not a ceasefire which would let Ukrainians to rearm and to let the Europeans send more arms for continuing the killings of Russia. Not only the missiles and drones are flying from Russia to Ukraine. On the contrary, the more and more drones coming into Russia proper. Today, the nuclear plant in New Voronezh have been attacked by Ukrainian drone. There's a crazy thing to do. There's a crazy thing to do to attack the nuclear plant. This is the danger threat to whole Europe. And all this propaganda exercise on the part of Zelensky and his European sponsors and conservative part of American establishment is aimed at one thing: to prolong the war, to prolong the killing, and not to find a real peace deal. In fact, I would say that the words peace deal in Russia sounds like something very rude. He lied. That's the meaning of these words. They sound with phonetics of it's in Russian. So we're very skeptical about the real intentions of Europeans and Zelensky proper. Before talking to Putin, before he's given the honor to talk to Putin, he must provide something. He must provide something which we can talk about and which we can see as a final solution to the conflict.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. We do have some more updates coming from the conflict to discuss. Ukrainian